Good morning, children. Hope you are fine. Today we will do a poem called Growing Up. So, today we will learn about a frog and a butterfly and learn how they grow up from small to big. First, let's read the first poem. You can read along with me, children. Mr. Thomas Frog. So this story is about a frog called Mr. Thomas. Now let's read together. Little Tommy Tadpole began to weep and wail, for little Tommy Tadpole had lost his little tail, and his mother didn't know him as he wept upon a log. For he wasn't Tommy Tadpole, but Mr. Thomas Frog. And the poet is C.J. Dennis. Now, let's read it line by line and understand the meaning of the lines. First, Mr. Thomas Frog. That means this poem is about Mr. Thomas, who is a frog. Then, Little Tommy Tadpole. Children, do you all know the meaning of tadpole? When a frog is very small, it looks like this. This is called a tadpole. So a baby frog is called a tadpole. So when he was a baby, he was called Little Tommy and he was a tadpole. This little Tommy began to weep and wail. Weep and wail means he began to cry bitterly. For little Tommy Tadpole had lost his little tail. What happens when the tadpole is small? It has a little tail-like structure. But when the tadpole grows up, it becomes into a frog. And when it becomes into a frog, it loses its tail. So this little Tommy Tadpole had now grown up and that's why lost his little tail. Now, after he lost his tail, his mother didn't know him as he wept upon a log. So now, the big frog looks so different from the tiny tadpole. So when he grew into the frog and lost his tail, he was weeping sitting on this log of a tree. But he looked so different that even his mother couldn't recognize him. And why is that? For he wasn't Tommy Tadpole, but Mr. Thomas Frog. So why did Mummy not recognize him? Because he was no longer the small little Tommy Tadpole. Now he was the big Mr. Thomas Frog. So this is the journey of a frog from a baby tadpole to an adult frog. Now let's read the next one. The butterfly. The butterfly. The fuzzy little caterpillar curled upon a leaf, made herself a chrysalis and then fell asleep. While she was sleeping, she dreamed that she could fly, and later when she woke up, she was a butterfly. So this poem over here is about how a butterfly grows from small to big. Now let's understand the meaning of this poem. The first line says, the fuzzy little caterpillar. All of you know how a caterpillar looks. It's like a tiny wriggly worm and it's green in color with a little hair on its body. So this fuzzy little caterpillar, it eats a lot of leaves. And then when his tummy is full and he's all grown up, he curls upon a leaf. He goes to sleep and turns round and curls, made herself a chrysalis and then fell asleep. Chrysalis is this thing like a cocoon. So when this caterpillar goes to sleep and he's all full, he goes into a chrysalis and goes fast asleep. While she was sleeping, she dreamed that she could fly. So when this little caterpillar was sleeping in the chrysalis, she was dreaming that she could fly in the sky. When it was a caterpillar, it couldn't fly. It used to crawl on the leaves. So now she's dreaming that she can fly. And later when she woke up, she was a butterfly. When this caterpillar sleeps in the chrysalis, it turns into a butterfly. So when the chrysalis breaks open, it is no longer a caterpillar. That little caterpillar turns into a beautiful butterfly with wings that can fly in the sky. The meanings of some words from the poem are given below. You can read them. Question 1. Find more information about the life cycle of a frog and a butterfly. Present the information with the help of pictures, photos or diagrams. So children, you can look in some science textbooks or even you can search on the internet and study about the life cycle of frog and butterfly. Then you can either stick pictures or you can draw the life cycle in your notebook. Let us look first at the life cycle of a frog. This life cycle of a frog starts with eggs. So first they are in the form of eggs. When the egg grows, it turns into a tadpole. And you can see the tadpole is just like a fish with a long tail and it swims in water. Slowly as it grows, you get a tadpole with two front legs. Then as it grows bigger, you get a tadpole with two legs in the front, two legs at the back as well as the tail. So they have four legs. Then the tadpole grows almost into a frog, but it still has the tiny tail, so we call it as froglet. And finally, when it becomes an adult frog, it loses its tail. So this is the life cycle of a frog. Now let's look at the life cycle of butterflies. Again, to start with, we have an egg. This egg, as it breaks open, turns into a caterpillar. The caterpillar eats lots of leaves and when it's fully grown, it goes inside the chrysalis, cocoon or pupa and it goes to sleep. And then when it finally grows inside it, then you can see the cocoon breaks open and we get an adult butterfly. So the caterpillar has now turned into a butterfly. So these two life cycles, you can go through it and try drawing it on your own. Question 2. From the poem Mr. Thomas Frog, mention one fact and one imaginary thing. Fact: tadpole had lost his tail. So as you can see, the tadpole loses the tail and then becomes the frog. So that is a true thing that is happening. So it is a fact. Imaginary thing. The caterpillar, when it was sleeping, dreamed that she could fly. Caterpillars go to sleep and then turn into the butterfly, but they don't dream. So this was an imaginary thing. That was all for today, children. Thank you and have a nice day.